to our television talk and other pop culture. So here we are once again. We got Ken Lee, Crank File, Wayne Demers. I always say that wrong.
It's all good.
The dope sheet. I guess I'm the real dope. And then we got Tyler.
I just work here.
And Chris, the owner of Great Stories. So welcome. And so we're going to talk a little bit of television format. Let's start right off with The Defenders.
Yes.
It's awesome.
It's awesome. Absolutely fantastic.
It was awesome. 8 episodes of awesomeness. Yep. Yeah, only 8.
Watch them.
So don't get freaked out.
My only critique of Defenders. I didn't think the fight scenes were as well choreographed as we'd seen in like the past iterations. Like
the first one.
Like Daredevil's fight scenes were insane, right? The Iron Fist's fight scenes were great as well. I think the problem that we had with the Defenders is that you have guys that are fighting with different styles, right? You got your brawlers, you got your martial art guys. You know, you just got different styles. It worked really well when they were able to like speed up the martial art fight because that looked really cool. But then when you threw in these guys that were brawlers, kind of fighting at that pace, it just seemed like it was a little off. I still enjoyed the fight scenes. I thought they were well done, but they weren't just up to the par that I thought that we'd seen previously.
Which I mean, I guess that kind of makes sense because you have 4 people that have 4 different fighting styles, all like coming together to fight, and they really don't have any cohesion at all.
There's no teamwork in their like fighting moves.
This isn't the Defenders team up. These guys don't even really like each other half the time. And they just understand that they have to come together in order to defeat this greater.
But you don't even have to worry about that until like episode 5.
Yeah, and that's the brilliance of that, is that they don't like. Here's episode 1, half an hour in, everybody gets together, big team powwow. You actually get like 4 solid episodes of like developing what's going on with each individual character. And what I love about this, which I'm not sure how many people caught on to this, but when you got to each individual character, they had their own atmosphere, right down to the color coordination of like the light. Yeah. Like you had, anytime it was Jessica Jones, it was like a really like a soft blue color. Then you get to Luke Cage and everything's in shades of yellow. And it's like whatever, during the intro scene, whatever color represented that character, that was the color that was
objects in the room, in the background and stuff like that.
Yeah, and it was absolutely brilliant with it, like right down to the music that they played. And then as they came together, you saw kind of like the lights kind of intermingling and you get the more real atmosphere, everyday kind of like filmography. But they really, I think they do a great job of showing that this isn't like a team of people that came together to fight a greater evil. These are 4 individual people with their own opinions about how things should be done.
Motivations.
That take several episodes to really decide on a plan before executing it. And then even that's like...
a lot of dissension between the team really, throughout the series, actually. And I liked that it wasn't just a team of guys just being like, hey, let's go fight crime, guys. You know, there was just a lot of butting heads, and I enjoyed that.
I loved Iron Fist and Cage.
Oh, basically. God, I love that. Amazing.
Yeah, and it's so funny because like if you just recently became like a comic fan, you're like, oh, it's Power Man and Iron Fist. They're like the team, but not so. No. It doesn't start off that way. Maybe they grow to respect each other down the line, but they really have different views on the world,
And there's no
different approaches to their to how they solve problems.
There's really no character development overall, with maybe exception with a little bit with Daredevil. But you get the same sense of like Danny Rand, the Iron Fist. He's still the same character, still fighting the same demons that he was fighting at the end of his season. Jessica Jones is just now starting to realize that maybe she can start depending on people a little bit more, and that character development comes through towards the end. And then Luke Cage has actually reached the end of his character development, and now he's just trying to put that into motion. So each character is struggling with their own phase of character development in this movie. In this series, rather, where they all left off at different points in their own series and then continued from those points in this series. And I thought that was really interesting. So you really get 4 individual stories in one series, and it's something that I don't think any other series has ever been able to execute the way that they did with the Defenders.
There's one thing I love too about the Matt Murdock character, Daredevil, and how he's basically almost kind of promised himself, I'm going to give this up. This whole like Daredevil bit at the beginning of the episode, the first episode, and he is just afflicted, basically. Like basically his senses become a curse because he's constantly hearing all the chaos around him in the neighborhood and just being like, just tempted, you know, and like, it's basically become a curse for him because now he's like, oh no, I've made a promise to myself. I'm not going to do this. I made a promise to other people. I'm going to, you know, basically go a different way in my life. And so I thought that was kind of interesting how they handled that, and it really shows the torture in his face. It really shows.
Yeah, he did not want to come back to fighting crap. He did not want to be Daredevil again. There's only one reason they did, and I'm probably not going to give it away in case you haven't seen it. But yeah, he was totally against joining up and becoming a superhero again.
That's right.
I love the scene when he shows up with I think it was with Jessica and Luke. And he's in there with his costume on.
Yeah. They're just sitting there like really?
Yeah.
That was hysterical.
The thing I found with the storyline is very true when you talk about teaming, whether it's teaming at work or you're teaming with a group of people in whatever you do in life. It's forming, storming, norming, and performing. Right, so they form together, right, and then they storm. They're batting their heads against one another and trying to jockey for how they want to go forward as a team or even stay as a team. Then there's the norming. So then, all right, we're all coming onto the same page. We're going to work together, okay, and performing. And then at the end, we're going to come together and we are fighting together as a team. Mm-hmm. So I saw that, and I think that's great that Marvel Studios actually went forward that way because it works, right? To me, the one thing that I still don't like is I feel like Iron Fist is an Iron Flop. I feel like the only time he's an Iron Fist is when he's against Luke Cage. Otherwise, I feel like, you know what, Daredevil, I'm kind of shocked that you whooped this guy's butt. He's supposed to be this big thing. He's the Iron Fist. Even Stick is like, he's the Iron Fist. Man, I'm still a little disappointed in the Iron Fist. I want the Iron Fist I want him to be able to stand his own with Daredevil, and I really don't feel like he can. That's my 2 cents on that.
It pretty much just amounts to nothing more than essentially a tool in both the sociological and a literal sense.
I wasn't going to call him a tool. I'm a little actually more harsh. I don't want to say it on camera, but I want more from the Iron Fist. I get what you're saying.
And again, that's where I'm at with like, okay, so you have Jessica Jones who had reached the pinnacle of her character development, and then right at the end, Luke was already at the end of his character development at the beginning of the series.
Yeah.
Well, the Iron Fist is the only one who hasn't really developed as a character at all throughout any of the series. He's still the same Danny Rand. Who came back to New York.
But I have to say, I love the interaction with them. I love how they leave off at the end of the series. And I actually was wondering, have we just seen a new character come in? Is this person going to be a new character? And now, just recently on Twitter, or on the internet now, there's images of this particular character with
the initials
bi-armored arm. Huh?
The initials MK?
I don't know. Is that what I don't remember her name. So I don't know.
Misty Knight.
Misty Knight, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I'm like really excited because I picked up. I don't know anything about this character. I just kind of said, "Geez, she's playing more into this."
I was surprised that they went with that character. I thought she was going to be a secondary character, but it seems like they're going to bring her in. Like with what we saw happen to her character at the end of this series, it totally seems like she's going to be upgraded and join the team soon.
Yeah.
Well, there could be a Heroes for Hire series in our future. We do have Misty Knight and Colleen Wing, who have both been obviously prominent cast members here. Our characters, I should say, within the show. So, and that's like half of the Heroes for Hire, I believe, the original.
I think we all know who like the core character of this. Like, really, we should just call this Claire the Marvel show. Because the entire series, all four of the individual series, she is the centerfold of all of it.
I don't say she's a center, but she's a connecting thread.
She's a connecting thread. Yes. And I believe her, in the Marvel books, I believe, isn't she called the Night Nurse or something like that?
She's like a revamped version of that character.
Yeah.
Taking from several characters to make her.
So it's a loose iteration of that character.
But she's what's bringing everyone together. She's the Professor X, if you will.
Pretty much.
The one that's bringing them all together.
With a little bit less psychic powers.
Yep.
Right.
And by the way, Luke Cage is just a dog. All right. Anyway.
I love that guy.
Yeah, he's great.
I mean, honestly,
he's an awesome actor.
I don't think that's what he was referring to.
I know what he's referring to.
I'm not gonna say. I'm trying to keep this clean, but anyway.
Yeah.
You're
Lock
wondering
up the kids.
Yeah. Right.
Holy jeez.
Yeah. Anyway, what else do we have?
One last critique.
Yeah.
I thought Sigourney Weaver's character was totally underutilized.
Yeah, and kind of weak.
Underutilized, and probably did not go as far as I thought the character would. But
I feel like it was kind of like an underwhelming character role for Sigourney.
She was excellent in that role. But
Yeah, she's excellent in everything,
she was phenomenal.
but she deserved something, I think, a little bit better than what she was given.
I'm pretty sure she has said to Marvel, "Hey, I want to be in one of your shows." He is writing me in a character for a little while.
Yep. So, with that, let's move on to, what was it, Voltron?
Voltron, yeah, Voltron, Defender of the Universe, right? Something like that, right? I think that's what it is. Anyway,
Robot kitties from outer space.
Yes.
So Voltron goes way back to, let's say late 80s with their animated series, and now Netflix last year rejuvenated that series. So I think we're on
Netflix
season
at it again.
4. Yeah, Netflix. Thank God for Netflix. They've really done a lot of stuff for the viewership.
Kill the video rental.
Yeah, right. And so Voltron is, some people may say, oh, they copied Power Rangers. No. I think if you look at the evolution of a lot of different shows, Power Rangers really comes from Voltron. But in any case, they've modernized the story. The animation is top-notch, in my opinion. They took a story that was really dumbed down and geared toward kids, and now have geared it toward adults. And it's also a story for kids, but the adults get to say, hey, you're playing on my level of animation and my level of storytelling, which is why it's kind of compelling. And this last season was just really great because you added so much depth to the characters that back in the 80s, it wasn't about depth of a character. It was more
selling toys.
Yeah, sell toys. Hey, get me to the next episode. You keep it as thin as you possibly can, and there's a lot. There's not as much action in this last season, but there's some great storytelling. If you haven't watched it, it's great because I think there's 3 seasons out there. We've got a 4th season coming up in October, November. So this season, I think there were only 7 episodes. Next season, there may be another 7 or 8. But if you like animation and it's digital animation, you're really going to like Voltron. It's not simply just, hey, I'm going to go and fight another monster. It's not that story anymore. So, really enjoying it.
Good stuff.
Yeah.
I'd like to mention, now that the series has finished, completed on Spike, The Mist, the Netflix connection is that it's now available, the entire series, on Netflix, so you can watch it if you hadn't been keeping up with it. But it's Stephen King's novella. It's had an iteration in the theaters, but it is now a TV series. I don't believe there are any characters from the novella that are actually in the TV show. They kind of developed their own lore. I wasn't really sold on the series until we got to near the end of it, actually. It took some paths. It started off pretty well, and then the middle part of the show was kind of like average, but then there are some real plot twists towards the end of the season. It's only 10 episodes, but once you start getting into like episodes 7, 8, there are some plot twists that happen in this that really kind of like reinvigorate you, and you see some of the characters take some nasty turns, and this is not easy to watch. Some of these turns are kind of like, really sinister, and you begin to wonder, like, really, are the monsters the things out in the mist, or is it the people that are around you? And I have to give it credit. I give it credit for basically being unpredictable.
Was it more satisfying than the movie?
I look at them as 2 different entities. What Frank Darabont did with the movie. That ending had such a non-Hollywood ending, a shock value. You walked out of that movie basically jaw dropped and feeling absolutely terrible. Like you walk out of that film just like, I can't believe what I just saw just now. And so it's kind of a brave direction to go for a filmmaker. And Frank Darabont certainly got praise from Stephen King for writing that ending, actually. Frank Darabont went to King and said, "Can I put this ending into your movie?" And it was with full blessings, and he said, "I wish I had written that ending." But this TV show is it's built for a longer haul. It wasn't meant to be a one season and done type of thing, so we're seeing the story kind of go forward. But there are a lot of conclusions met at the end of the season for a lot of the characters. And I think you might see a different cast of characters come forward to flesh out the story even more as we go forward. So it's something I definitely recommend. You check it out on Netflix or on DVD or whatever manner in which you can get your hands on it, because I think it's definitely it's right up there with the movie.
Awesome.
Yeah. And
I'll just throw one thing in there. I know we didn't talk about this, but because we're all talking Netflix, Amazon Prime has a great series out there called Ozark. And that's directed, maybe written, and acting in is Jason Bateman. Kind of has the flavor a little bit of Breaking Bad, a little bit. That's one that's not too many episodes either, maybe 10, I think, I forget. Excellent acting, very good story, some twists and surprises. If you haven't checked that out, that's on Amazon Prime.
what's it about?
So he's an accountant that gets pulled into the drug world. I'll leave it like that, and his family is kind of turned upside down. And this is acting by Jason Bateman that I haven't quite seen before. Mm-hmm. So I really enjoyed it because I felt like I'm getting to see him in a whole new light. Mm-hmm. And then when you're watching the credits and you see that he directed and produced, I think. I don't know if he wrote it, but I directed and produced, I think. I just was really surprised, and I got to say, I felt very satisfied as the story kind of plays out. So if you haven't given that, and you have Amazon Prime, if you haven't seen that yet, give that one a try. It's an Amazon Prime only. It's there.
There's something on Netflix.
Oh, is it Netflix?
Ozark is Netflix.
Is it?
Damn.
Sorry, Amazon. Not that you need
Tried.
help from us.
We tried so hard.
Amazon, you're making money hands over fist, so no,
I'm sure
We're
there
not
are
too-
other great
we're
things.
not
like
Netflix is
Amazon
so
Prime.
good, Netflix. Damn you.
Maybe we'll have to look at Amazon Prime shows next time, but anyway.
We're done.
Thank you for watching. We'll see you again soon. Signing off.